Luna was a cat of the countryside, a small hunter with a spirit as vast as the open sky above her home. Her fur, a patchwork of silver and grey, shimmered like moonlight on a rippling pond, and her eyes were the colour of new spring leaves. She lived in a cosy cottage with a red door, nestled at the edge of a sleepy village where the air always smelled of damp earth and sweet honeysuckle. Every morning the sun would spill over the gentle hills, painting the fields in shades of gold and green. This was Luna's kingdom, a sprawling territory of rustling hedgerows, whispering tall grass, and ancient gnarled oak trees that seemed to hold the secrets of the seasons in their bark. Her days were filled with the simple yet profound joys of a cat's life. She would spend hours stalking grasshoppers that chirped foolishly in the meadows, her body low to the ground, her tail twitching with intense concentration. She chased butterflies with delicate patterned wings, leaping into the air in a graceful arc, her paws batting at the fluttering specks of colour. Luna was not merely a pet, she was an explorer, an adventurer driven by an insatiable curiosity. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every strange scent carried on the breeze was a mystery waiting to be unravelled. She knew the secret paths mice took through the clover and the best sunning spots on the old stone wall that bordered her garden. Despite her playful nature, Luna possessed a sharp mind and keen instincts, honed by her daily explorations. She understood the language of the wild things around her. The frantic chatter of a squirrel was a warning of a passing fox, and the sudden silence of the crickets meant a hawk was circling high overhead. She was a creature of habit and caution, always aware of the delicate balance between predator and prey. Her world was a beautiful tapestry of life, but she knew that threads of danger were woven into it as well. This awareness kept her safe, allowing her to navigate her vibrant world with a blend of carefree joy and watchful intelligence. One particular morning, the sun felt warmer than usual, promising a day perfect for adventure. Luna stretched languidly on the sun-warmed doorstep, her claws extending and retracting into the worn wood. The air was alive with the buzzing of bees and the distant, gentle lowing of cows in a faraway pasture. A tantalizing scent, a mix of field mouse and something wild and unfamiliar, drifted from the far edge of the meadow near the old forgotten woodpile. Her curiosity, a familiar and persistent tug, pulled at her. With a flick of her tail, she decided her path. The day was too bright, the world too full of possibility to simply doze in the sun. With purpose in her step, Luna trotted away from the safety of her garden, her paws making soft impressions in the damp soil. She moved with a fluid grace, her body a whisper of grey against the vibrant green of the meadow. The tall grass tickled her nose, each stalk heavy with the morning dew that glittered like countless tiny diamonds. She followed the intriguing scent, her whiskers twitching as they gathered information from the air. The smell grew stronger as she approached the woodpile, a chaotic stack of old logs and decaying branches that had sat undisturbed for many seasons. It was a place teeming with life, a haven for beetles, spiders, and the mice she so loved to hunt. As she drew closer, a strange stillness fell over the area. The cheerful chirping of the crickets seemed to fade, and the birds in the nearby hawthorn bush fell silent. Luna paused, one paw lifted, her ears swiveling to catch the faintest sound. An ancient instinct, a cold prickle of warning, ran down her spine. The air, which had been so full of life just moments before, now felt heavy and watchful. Something was wrong. The familiar rhythm of the meadow had been broken. Her playful hunt was forgotten, replaced by a sudden, sharp sense of caution. She crouched lower, her green eyes scanning the woodpile, trying to pierce the deep shadows between the logs. There, draped over a sun-bleached log, was the source of the unnatural quiet. It was a long, thick serpent, its scales a mesmerizing pattern of diamond shapes in shades of dusty brown and black. The snake was basking in the sun's warmth, its body perfectly still. It seemed almost like a part of the woodpile itself, a piece of patterned bark or a curiously shaped vine. But Luna knew better. Her heart began to beat a little faster, a tiny drum against her ribs. She had seen snakes before, small grass snakes that would slither away in fear, but this one was different. It was large and powerful, and it radiated an aura of silent, patient danger. Luna froze, her muscles tensed, her mind racing. Her first instinct was to back away slowly, to retreat into the tall grass and disappear. She knew this was not a creature to be toyed with. This was not a grasshopper or a butterfly. This was a predator, a silent hunter just as she was, but one that held a different, more lethal kind of power. She began to take a slow, careful step backward, trying to melt back into the landscape without making a sound. Her every sense was on high alert, her focus entirely on the still, scaled form. She prayed it hadn't seen her, that she could slip away unnoticed and return to the safety of her home. But her hope for a silent retreat was shattered in an instant. The snake's head, which had been resting peacefully, lifted with unnerving speed, its black, lidless eyes fixed directly on her. There was no escaping its gaze. A low, menacing hiss sliced through the quiet air, a sound colder and sharper than any winter wind. It was a clear warning, a declaration of territory and a promise of violence. Luna's fur bristled along her spine, her body instinctively arching in a defensive posture. The scent of danger was now overwhelming, a dry, dusty smell that filled her nostrils and made her want to flee. But her paws felt rooted to the spot, held there by a mixture of fear and defiance. Before she could react, the snake moved. It was not a slow slither, but a terrifyingly fast strike. It launched itself from the woodpile like a whip cracking through the air. Luna, relying on her lightning-fast reflexes, sprang sideways. She felt a rush of air where she had been standing just a second before. But the snake was relentless. It coiled and struck again, its body a blur of patterned motion. This time, it was too fast. A thick, muscular coil slammed into her side, knocking the breath from her lungs and sending her tumbling into the grass. Panic, cold and sharp, seized her as the world spun around her. She tried to scramble to her feet, but the snake was already upon her. A heavy loop of its body fell across her back, pinning her to the ground with immense pressure. Another coil wrapped around her middle, tightening with a slow, crushing force. Luna let out a terrified yowl as the snake's grip grew stronger, squeezing the air from her chest. She twisted and struggled, her claws scrabbling uselessly against the smooth, unyielding scales. The snake's head loomed over her, its forked tongue flicking in and out, tasting the air, its dark eyes watching her struggle with a cold, detached focus. Fear threatened to overwhelm her, to make her give up. Trapped and struggling for breath, Luna felt a primal terror she had never known. The sunlit meadow, her beautiful kingdom, had transformed into a terrifying arena of life and death. The scent of sweet clover was replaced by the snake's dry, reptilian odor. The gentle buzzing of bees was drowned out by the frantic thumping of her own heart and the snake's low, continuous hiss. She was caught, and with every passing second, the coils tightened, stealing her strength and her hope. The immense pressure was suffocating, and a wave of dizziness washed over her. In that dark moment, it felt as if her adventure and her life were about to end. Just as the darkness began to close in, a spark of defiance ignited within Luna's heart. She was a hunter, a survivor. She would not simply surrender. The life lesson of the countryside, that one must fight for every breath, surged through her. She remembered chasing mice, how they would bite and scratch when cornered. She had to do the same. With a final, desperate burst of energy, she stopped struggling against the main coils. Instead, she focused all her attention on one specific point: the thick part of the snake's body that was wrapped most tightly around her ribs. She needed to create a moment of weakness, a single chance to break free. Gathering all her remaining strength, Luna twisted her head around at an awkward angle. She opened her mouth wide and sank her sharp, needle-like teeth deep into the snake's body. At the same time, she unleashed her back claws, kicking and raking furiously at the same spot. The snake's smooth scales were tough, but her claws were sharp, and they found purchase, scratching deep into the muscle beneath. The snake reacted instantly. It let out a furious, explosive hiss, a sound of pure rage and surprise. The crushing pressure around her chest loosened for a fraction of a second as the predator recoiled in pain from the unexpected and fierce counterattack. That single moment was all Luna needed. The slight release of pressure was her window of opportunity. With a powerful heave, she wriggled and pushed, squirming out from under the loosened coil. She was free. She didn't waste a second to look back. She scrambled to her paws and bolted, her legs pumping with adrenaline-fueled speed. She ran blindly, her only thought to put as much distance as possible between herself and the furious serpent. The grass whipped at her face and her lungs burned for air, but the terror of the tightening coils was a powerful motivator, pushing her onward faster than she had ever run before. The chase was on. Behind her, she could hear the snake slithering through the grass with terrifying speed, its angry hisses close on her heels. The meadow was no longer a safe haven. It was a treacherous open space. She needed cover. She needed height. Her wild eyes scanned the landscape, and she saw her salvation. The ancient oak tree at the edge of the field, the one whose branches were like sturdy, welcoming arms. With a final, desperate sprint, she aimed for its thick, rough trunk. The snake was closing in, a dark shadow moving swiftly through the green, but the tree was getting closer, her only hope for survival. Luna reached the base of the great oak tree and leaped. Her claws dug deep into the rough, grooved bark, finding a secure hold. She didn't stop to catch her breath, she just climbed. Up and up she scrambled, her muscles screaming in protest, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She could hear the snake hissing with frustration at the base of the trunk, but it could not follow her here. The solid, textured bark beneath her paws was the most reassuring feeling in the world. She climbed higher and higher, not stopping until she reached a thick, sturdy branch far above the ground, a safe perch from which she could finally look down. From her vantage point, the world looked different. The snake below appeared smaller, its threat diminished by the distance. It circled the base of the tree for a few moments, its head raised, its black eyes still fixed on her. It let out one last frustrated hiss before it seemed to give up, turning and slithering back towards the shadows of the woodpile, disappearing into the darkness from which it came. Luna watched it go, her body trembling with the aftershocks of adrenaline and fear. Slowly, the frantic beating of her heart began to calm, and she could finally take a full, deep breath of the sweet, sun-warmed air. She remained on the branch for a long time, grooming her ruffled silver fur, the simple, repetitive action, a comfort to her frayed nerves. The sun filtered through the leaves, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow on her coat. The sounds of the meadow slowly returned to normal. The crickets began their cheerful chirping again, and a brave robin landed on a nearby branch, singing its cheerful song. The danger had passed. Safety, warm and absolute, enveloped her like a soft blanket. She felt a deep sense of pride swell in her chest. She had faced a terrifying enemy and had not given up. She had used her mind and her strength to survive. As the afternoon sun began to dip towards the horizon, casting long shadows across her kingdom, Luna finally made her way down the tree. She moved with a new sense of confidence, her steps sure and steady. The world was still beautiful, but she now understood its dangers more deeply. She had learned a valuable lesson that day, etched not in her mind, but in her very being. Courage wasn't about the absence of fear. It was about facing that fear and fighting back with everything you have. No matter how tight the coils of trouble may seem, there is always a way to break free if you never